Hello, it's Kyler here. This is week 79 in Intuitive Momentum Fitness, and today we're talking about self-love and self-respect. And the way this comes down to health and affects our health, which is kind of the apparent piece of the iceberg that is the most obvious aspect of our well-being, our physical health, and why most of us start questioning everything about the way we're living in order to try to be the most healthy that we can be, is that when life is out of balance and we're caring for others more than we're caring for ourselves, which is a kind of a toxic coping strategy, survival strategy, and that does help us in certain seasons of our lives, but when it carries on for longer than it should, then we get imbalanced in our health and our well-being. So when everyone around us is more important than we are in our own equation, in the result of the way that we end up doing life, then things get really, really unhealthy within our bodies, within our spirit, within our emotions, our mind, and it causes problems, even autoimmune issues. So how do we adjust that? How do we right that? And first we have to kind of understand aspects of the problem. And in order to do that, this week for this discussion, I selected 3 memes that came across my path this week, and wanted to share that with you guys. The first one is a tweet from Dr. Glenn Patrick Doyle, and he says, when we haven't been taught self-love and self-respect, those things might have to start with behavior rather than belief. So behaving toward ourselves as if we were someone we loved and respected, even if we're not quite feeling it yet. It's not about faking it, it's about getting practice with it. So I love what he says here. I think there's, especially with people who strive to be as genuine and good and authentic as possible, then the idea of faking something is really off-putting. And so if you've never been taught to love yourself or shown examples of loving yourself or respecting yourself, and then you try to do that and it feels fake, then you may decide you don't want to do that because it's not authentic, it doesn't feel sincere. So he points out here that it's not about faking it, it's about getting practice with it. So you practicing loving yourself and respecting yourself still feels inauthentic, but if you can think of it in the frame of practice, which also doesn't feel authentic or real or established yet, then it's more tolerable and you give yourself more of a chance to stay with it while it feels uncomfortable. So if you've experienced trauma, you probably have experienced abandoning yourself in in not loving yourself the way you should and not respecting yourself the way you should. And if you are an empath, and by empath I mean someone who is so tuned in with the emotions and experiences of other people that they're not really in their own experience, which is on the scale opposite from narcissism. So someone whose personality tends toward narcissism, they're naturally more in tune with their own emotions, their own experience, than with the emotions and experience of others. So most people who have experienced long periods of trauma, complex trauma, are people who are on the empathic end and tend to be so tuned in to everyone else's emotional and literal experience that they're not tuned in with themselves. And so obviously that's out of balance, just like the extreme narcissistic end is out of balance. And so we're hopefully all moving toward a better balance and toward the center. So if you've experienced trauma, then you are likely to tend toward, for survival reasons, being more in tune with others and prioritizing others over yourself. And so if that goes extreme, if that gets carried out as far as it often does, then some of your experience is self-abandonment. You are not loving and respecting yourself as much as you love and respect others, which energetically is not really possible, because we can only love others as much as we love ourselves. So there's some kind of imbalance, definitely unhealthy imbalance happening there, because and I believe it does get felt by others. Like, others know that you're not giving, can sense that you're not giving out of your fullness, but out of a need, whether that need is for safety or for reciprocation or whatever it is. There's some kind of need when you abandon yourself to take care of someone else, because just with the laws of physics, you're going to need someone else to take care of you if you're not taking care of you. So balance in this situation means I love me as much as I love someone else. And if we're really to look at it, you have to love and respect yourself. I guess loving and respecting yourself as much as you love and respect others does carry inherent care that favors you more than others, because you are more responsible for yourself than you are for others. You have more agency, more jurisdiction over your own life than you have over anyone else's. No one else over your lifetime is going to be more responsible for you than you. If you don't prioritize you, who will? So from that perspective, loving yourself and loving others, and respecting yourself and loving and respecting others in equal measure means that you care for yourself more, because you are more responsible for you than for anyone else. So that was kind of a big aha moment, not necessarily in the mental understanding, but in like the feeling state of it for me this week. I can practice loving and respecting myself, even when I don't feel it. And I'm not being fake. It's just practice. And so that was super helpful in some situations where I do tend to self-abandon. Nothing crazy, but even just thinking more about the emotional experience of the people that I'm with than my own, and just like, reminding me to be in my own body and my own experience. So that was the first one. The second meme that I shared is called Boundaries, and it's talking about what is my responsibility and what isn't my responsibility. It's not my job to heal others, please others at my expense, make it work if the effort isn't mutual, continuously compromise, tiptoe around you, anticipate your needs, change myself to your liking. It is my job to heal myself, listen to my needs and my desires, respect myself and my time, be true to my authentic self, set healthy boundaries that protect my energy, leave when I'm not being valued, say no when it's not in alignment, and be mindful with my yes. So this isn't to say that we don't need each other. This isn't to say that we don't need anyone else. It doesn't mean to say that others don't need us. It's just remembering who's responsible for who. And if I'm taking care of me and I'm making sure that I am, my tank is full and my needs are met, and I'm being responsible for my life, I'm exercising agency over my life, then there is room for me to meet others and offer things that would be mutually acceptable to the other, that benefit both of us. And we can exchange, and we can kind of bless and invest in each other. But why is this important for us to remember that I don't need to heal other people? I need to heal myself. I don't need to please others at my expense. I need to listen to my needs and desires. It's because as an empath, as a trauma survivor, I tend toward, for my own safety, making sure everyone else around me is good. Because if they're good, then I think that I'm good. And there's, that's good, like we've talked about, for a certain season, where safety is involved. But for most of my, for my adult life now, I'm not in that situation anymore. It was just the first 23 years. And now I don't need to live in survival mode. And it's safe and needed for me to claim the agency and power that I have over my life. So just out of habit, I will give up my power. I will give up my agency to make sure others are happy and prioritize them, and put myself at the bottom of the priority list. So this is why I need to remember this. Not everybody needs to remember this. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes the things that we have always taken to heart, like, serve others, prioritize others, certain personalities, certain people need to hear that message and make a focus of that. But when your focus and your tendency and your natural inclination, your response to life is to abandon yourself and take care of others, then you have to remind yourself constantly what is your job and what is not your job. So then the third meme talks about, or says, the most important spiritual growth doesn't happen when you're meditating or on a yoga mat. It happens in the midst of conflict, when you're frustrated, angry, or scared, and you're doing the same old thing, and then you suddenly realize that you have a choice to do it differently. So this is real world anomaly. It's not to say that meditating is not important, or doing yoga or mindful strength training like I enjoy is not important. It's like I enjoy playing pickleball, and it's really important to drill certain exercises with the ball, certain there's the dinking and the dropping and the volleys and the drives and the lobs, and it's really helpful to practice all of those, to drill all of those. But in a game situation, it's not predictable like it is in a drill session. It's not steady like it is in a drill session. There's all kinds of variables. There's the pressure of this point matters. It's the real world application of all the drilling. So you have to do it in the game. You can't play it safe. You have to try things that you've never tried in a game before. You have to go for it and see what happens, and be uncomfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and just put everything to the test and go for it. So that, I feel like, is the same thing. When life is happening and something goes wrong, and you're scared, or you're frustrated, or you're angry, that is the time to remember what you've done in meditation, what you've done on the yoga mat, the way that you calm your mind, the truths that you know about and you lean on and you hold on to. Like, that's the time to really lean on it, to really apply it, because that is when it's going to make a big difference. So we want to disrupt the patterns that we've been in, not just get caught up in the same habit, same pattern, same response, same what some people call personality. We want to change and become a different person than we have been for, in survival mode. We want to switch to a different mindset, a different resonance, and choose a different way of being, a different way of living. So it happens little by little, and moment by moment, choice by choice, anomaly by anomaly.